again, this is Tom Blodgett from Jende Industries, and today we're going to sharpen up or hone up Iwasaki Kamisori razor. Then, in the next video, we're going to shave with it. Looks like I need one. Let's get to it. One of the there's a lot of folklore around Kamisori honing. There's different ways to do it. There's a lot of guys that just do it like 5 and 3 or 3 and 2 or some sort of ratio side to side. I'm just going to get in trouble here and say, no. Just 1 by 1. That's what you want on everything. Otherwise, you do offset it. Now, you are on a differential angle where one side is hollow ground flat and then you have a bevel side. But that's preset angles in my book. So you don't need to do more on one than the other side because you need to braid both sides evenly to get minimized burr. If you're going to do more than one pass, then you're going to raise more burr. And that's just a rule. So for me, for honing Kamisori, it's not the only way, but it's the right way, is to go 1 by 1, generally speaking. Now, there's tricks and stuff to get it started before you get to that point, but yeah, that's where basically I'm of the school where one side, one stroke, just like a regular Western hollow ground or wedge or any other Western razor, you would do the same on a Kamisori. So I hone razors. I don't use full-size stones. I rarely use full-size stones. I've never really liked it because razors always have little bumps, grooves, curves, smiles, frowns, all kinds of stuff that I find the 1-inch stone is just more suitable for. So I've pretty much always honed by using a 1-inch, 1x6 stone. So today we're going to use the Choceras, the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. Then we're going to strop with nano cloth, Jende nano cloth with 0.25 micron, quarter micron, and then 0.025 micron Jende emulsions as well. So what we're going to do with that is, the reason I'm not going any coarser is that this razor has already been kept well. All right, before we begin, I want to show you the microscope picture here of the edge as is before. So you can see that there's a lot of things going on at the edge. On the yellowish part here, there's definitely crisscrossing of scratches. There's just something going on just through time, through use, through whatever. And then you have like vertical scratches that are a little coarser than they should be, to be honest. I think it's more factory, and then it's more of the pasting stuff. So basically, we're going to fix this. So this is where we're starting. And this picture, by the way, is about 1.8 millimeters wide by 1.4 mils high. So it's pretty small. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start with the 1K Chocera. So again, one of the things about the Kamisori is that oftentimes they are laminated steel. And with the Japanese laminated steel, you have an interaction that happens with the soft cladding and the actual hard steel. So the hollow ground side is usually the harder steel. On the Iwasaki, I'm not sure. I wasn't able to find evidence of it being laminated. So if somebody does know, please let me know in the comments. But we have a black oxide coating here. And so I'm going to assume that it is a softer type thing to avoid it from rusting. So that gets in the way. It's actually softer steel. If this is clad, this is softer. So when you're on the bevel side and you're running it, the tendency is to actually lean against that corner here. And that's going to abrade the softer steel and not the edge. So the biggest trick, not 3 and 1, 3 to 5, that kind of ratio, the biggest trick is pressure forward. In this case, on the bevel side, I want to make sure that I'm putting pressure towards the tip, towards the edge. That is the trick. You don't want to lean back on it because then you're just abrading the soft steel and you never hit the edge. I think that's where the ratio effect came in. Because they just simply weren't getting the edge. So that's the single most biggest problem with honing Kamisori type razors or single bevel. So what we're going to do here is when I'm here, I'm going to not really put like where my thumb is. I don't want to use my thumb, but I want to focus that pressure forward when I'm taking a pass. And then the flat side is simple, regular thing. So I'm kind of using my thumb on the handle here to push down a little bit. So I'm not pushing, but I'm just kind of thinking about pushing down, just focusing it down. And therefore, I'm getting a flat right? I'm abrading the edge more than I'm abrading that bevel spine in the back. And this is like you do a regular razor. You can do knife strokes to start. Again, I know this razor is not in terrible condition at the moment. So you're just going to do this like you would a normal razor. I do a rolling X just because, again, nothing's really flat. Stones wear. You know, blades are never really perfect. So, I mean, the Iwasaki is very nice. It's pretty good. So, I'm not worried about it. Just, it's what I do. And you can see already I'm starting to get this little bit of a swarf going, or a little paste started. And it's not as black as normal. And I think what that is because it's kind of gray. Can you zoom in on that? See it? All right, see it's grayish color because I think that is the softer steel interacting. So that has an effect on the edge itself, which we're not going to get into right now. But that's where you usually get your starburst looking finish. It's because you have an interaction with a softer steel burnishing against a harder edge steel. But that's another topic for another date. But this will turn black ultimately because we are abrading the edge steel at least halfway. So we'll do this a bunch. And you know, I'm just going to do it straight up X stroke for a while. So we'll just fast forward here to the next. Alright, so this is the microscope picture under after the 1K Chaucer. And you can see already that major difference between all the scratches and everything that were going two different directions and just whatever. So we've basically created new scratches here. And everything is uniform. They're not perpendicular anymore. They're slightly askew now because of the way I've been doing the X stroke instead of straight up. But that's irrelevant here. We've basically removed all those and created these. So next we'll hit the 2K. Before we start the 2K, just a reminder on the 1K, or sometimes even lower grits in order to establish that edge. Sometimes it just takes a lot of time. Whatever the factory has, whatever rounding that's been done in stropping or just whatever over time. So sometimes that first stage is the most important. If you don't hit it right at the lower grit, the lowest grit, then everything else is just going to be harder to fix. So you have diminished returns from the second stone on. So make sure at that first grit, even if you drop down to 400 or 300 or something, that you've established a very clean edge. This is why checking under the scope is, or under some sort of magnification, is highly recommended for honing razors. I almost never hone without checking under the scope. So, okay, on to the 2K. Water, same old, same old. Here what we're going to do again is, you know, we've got a nice flat stone, little focus forward. And you can feel when you're digging in. If you press too hard, you'll dig. You can feel it, which leads me to believe that this is the softer steel again. And I'm feeling that difference on the two sides. This is hard. It doesn't react. It's not reacting as much. Here I feel something grabbing. That's the softer steel generally. So again, take your time. Make each stroke count. It's not about speed. I make it look easy. I've been doing this a long time. You can't tell by my beard. But I've been using the razor for a long time. Okay, I've done probably closer to 100 strokes at this point per side. And there's a point where it's magical, where it starts to really grab. Not grab, but there's something that happens. There's a change in the regular stroke to on each side. It changes differently on each side, where you're in that zone. And at that point, I think that's when you have an indicator that you're in the right spot in terms of getting ready to move on. So now you're established sort of all the right 2K scratches here. And on each of the stones, it kind of does that. Especially at these lower grits, 1K, 2K, 3K, will do that. The 5 and 10, not as much, but yeah, you just get into this place, and it's hard to stop sometimes because you're like, oh, that feels really good. It's the zen part, but I think at that point you actually matched up all the scratches, you know, without missing anything. So you have the most contact at that grit. All right, we'll check it and get ready to move on. All right, on the 2K now, you can see there is a difference. There's a couple things going on here. If at the very top here is the edge, so that's clean, it's even, it's straight. So what you're seeing is a couple things. You're seeing these beginning of like a matte finish, and that's sort of the brownish yellow. But then you can see some streaks of white in there that are previous scratches on there. So that's always something that's going to pop up. But they're in the same position as my 2K, which means that at the very most it's the 1K because they're not in the same angle as the starting scratches. So those are, kind of residual 1K scratches or errant 2K scratches if you really want to get technical here. But overall, what you're looking for mostly is that edge to make sure that it is straight like that. And it'll get more sharp as you get towards the higher grits. So let's move on to the 3K. All right, 3K, same deal. I mean, basically it's the same thing until we get to the strop. So again, one by one. Then you could do, if you wanted to go faster, you could do several strokes to speed it up. Again, as long as you're even, I, at this point, really don't see the need for that. I think it hurts more than it helps, even on a Kamisori, which has, a pretty good angle to it. I think just slow and steady, especially because it is hollow ground and the bevels are so well set. You don't need to do a lot to hit the edge. You're guaranteed to hit the edge pretty much every time, so you don't need tricks. The only trick is when you're coming on the bevel side, lean forward a little bit. That's the only trick. All right, the microscope picture here on the 3K Chaucer shows, you see this bright white blue kind of thing. So what's happening under the microscope is that we're getting a mirror. It's not a perfect mirror yet because then it'd be white. But there's, they're getting that reflection point down to where it's starting to want to go mirrorish. More importantly, though, if you look at the top there, the edge of the edge is starting to get a slight. Can't really zoom in here, but it's basically starting to feather, which means we're getting a point, but it's very, very consistent. It will always feather because it's hard steel, but this is what we want, and it's not chipping out. All right, this is the 5K Chaucer. This is one of those stones that you need to spend some time on. It's a transitional stone to the 10K, so this is where you start to really get rid of the scratches and start to polish. So this is a transitional area here. So it's a little bit softer stone too in general with the other Chaucers. Likes to make some more mud, which is beneficial sometimes for the polish. So just keep it moist enough, keep it alive, keep the mud, the paste going, and don't let it get too dry. And then just do the same as you normally do though. Otherwise, don't add any more pressure or anything. It'll do everything by itself. All right, so the 5K Chaucer here is finished. And you can see some feathering right at the very top there, which is again what we want. This is going into that mirror stage. I think this angle and it's hard to capture the true negative of it to get the mirror that you really want to see. But it's sharp, and we're not seeing too many chip outs here, and that line across the top is crisp. You can see it. It's very, you see those little white beads up there. It's sharp. That's what we're shooting for. And the bevel itself is pretty consistent. Again, the top left, you see a stray white line. Again, you're going to get diminished returns all along the way, but these are all at least 1,000 grit scratches and up. So, yeah, looking pretty good. Next is up to 10K. All right, we've got the 10K now, and this is where the magic happens. Now we get to the really shaving part. I mean, this already cuts. It's not tree topping or anything, but the 10K will definitely get it to a higher level. And you can't really do too many on the 10K. So the 10K here, we can see how that edge at the top here has become very, very pointy. There's some slight feathering, which is consistent throughout, so nothing really to worry about. But now we have this nice shine. Everything's consistent. What you're looking for is all the scratches are in the same direction. The tip, the edge, the top, the apex is not chipped out. The final couple stages will be the 1/4 micron and the 0.025 micron stropping. We're using 10K scratches, and we're just going to kind of polish the grooves. We're not going to try to go all day long on this. We're just going to do about 10 and then 10. It seems, after all that, just to do so few, but that's kind of the way it works. We just want to polish the grooves and keep the integrity of that 10K edge. If you get thinner, you start chipping out. You have other issues as it gets thinner and thinner. A true grit edge is amazing if the steel can take it. This steel could probably take it, but this is not my razor. So I want to make sure that it's going to be robust enough for the owner so that it's still very good, but doesn't require tons of maintenance. So we're going to strop here. So edge trailing, no water. I've already loaded it with the 1/4 micron Jende poly emulsion. So again, no pressure. The nano cloth is here. We don't worry too much about the bevel side being the softer steel, but out of habit, I already put a little bit more oomph on that side. So just 5 or 10. Okay, we're not trying to establish 1/4 micron. What we're trying to do is get the 1/4 micron into the 1.2 micron or whatever 1.5 micron 10K scratches. With the .025, it just boom, everything just suddenly starts popping off. So .025 is the orange in color, and here again, just do 5 or 10 strokes, same thing. Six, even numbers. 7, lucky 7. Okay, 7. Again, no pressure, and then bang, bang, bang. You can't hear it, but it's like ting, ting. It's just grabbing everybody. So, yeah. Kamisori razor. The next video will be up here when we do it. I'll put that up here, but like and subscribe. Be sure to check out our other shaving videos, and the next video will be taking this off. So, yeah. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you.